ये प्ले सॉन्ग क्या होता है? अरे यहाँ से
चूज करना
रेंडर होगा
फंक्शन
वो।
क्या होता है?
ये क्या कर रहे हो ये?
हम साइट बना रहे हैं।
क्या है ये? क्लिक, एनिमेट, प्रेस, ये
अरे
गेट
देख इधर
लिखा
से
है,
वो ना साइट पे रेंडर हो
CSS।
रहा है।
ये
See?
एनिमेट प्रेस क्या है? ऐड क्लास,
Calm
वो
down
क्लिक
वरुण।
फंक्शन, ये क्या है? मेरे को फोमो हो रहा है, बता ना।
तुझे फोमो हो रहा है? और
हाँ।
तुम्हें भी?
हाँ।
तो लेट्स वेलकम टुडेस स्पीकर्स। Let's get to know our speakers for today.
Our first guest is Om Avhad. In his third year of computer engineering, this guy has bagged multiple internships. He is currently an intern at Fisher Jordan and is an upcoming summer intern at Douche Bank. Believe me, guys, this guy knows his stuff.
Our second guest today is Abhigyan Bafna from the third year IT department. He's recently bagged an internship at General Mills. He's a full stack web developer who is currently branching out into AI and ML. And he also happens to be our tech head.
Also, these guys are the finalists in the Mumbai hack. So congratulations, guys.
Before we jump into the technical questions, how did you both get started with web development?
Okay, so interesting question. I got started with web dev in the first year itself. So it was like I wanted to make my own personal portfolio. That was my goal with web dev. And to do that, I obviously need to learn web dev. So that's how I got started. Like resource wise, I got started with watching some Code with Harry videos. And yeah, it just built it up. I watched Angela Yu, and these are just some names that make content over web dev, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the whole thing.
Great answer.
Okay, thank you guys for your introduction. So let us begin with the questions. So the first set of questions is kind of like a true and false test. So we'll say a statement, and you guys have to just review like what do you think about that.
So the first one is web development is too complex and can only be done by people like young Sheldon, geniuses. What do
I
you
think that's like false. Web dev is not really so hard to get into. It might seem so, but uh, it's just HTML, CSS. That's something that schools today teach in sixth grade, seventh grade. So it's not that hard. Even a sixth grader could do that.
Yeah, I agree with what he said. So, like in the schools, they have started introducing, and my sister is just in second standard, and I am teaching her like how are websites, what are languages, and she is learning from that.
Okay, so our next question is like normally people think that web development is something you do along with your college. So like it needs to be done sideways, like both the ways. So if somebody who doesn't has a degree, can he excel in that field?
In like specifically web
Web
development, right?
development, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think it is like it's not necessary to get a professional degree as a web dev. Like I mean, technical degree, engineering, or anything related to sciences. You could there are a lot of people which just write developer and they have a commerce background or something else. So yeah, it's false.
Okay, for this question, I will like to share my experience. Like when I was applying for internships, nobody really asked me like, why are you doing diploma or you are from a diploma field. They at this point of time they don't really care about your background. They just care about your skills. So in web development, it's only about skills, the projects you make, and the experience you have in.
Our next question is like in earlier days, web development was like something like a website should be open on a computer, proper desktop. But nowadays, people are prioritizing the mobile web applications more than the desktop. So is it true?
Yeah, that's like 100% true. Even if there are certain graphs and like they are widely available on the web, you can check that, as you said, that earlier all the websites and stuff they were built for computers. Now, what's happening is why this transition is happening is like you can look all around you. You have two mobile phones on your hand. You don't have computers, right? So more and more people they use phones more. So they open the browser more, websites more. So yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, same answer. Like it is really important to create a responsive design so that it is easily accessible on your mobiles. Like for every other person, if he wants to check the website, and nowadays businesses are online. like every other business, small business or a big business, is wants to come online. So yeah, it is true that you have to make a responsive design mobile friendly.
Alright. So, remembering the syntax of a language is not, in fact, as crucial as one might think. With the advent of ChatGPT or so many resources like there's internet where you can find all the code you need. So, do you think learning the syntax is important?
I think, yeah, like the basics of it. You should understand what you're writing. If you understand what you're writing, then you do not need to remember everything, each and every function, because there are legit thousands of functions. You can't remember all of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So like what Abhigyan said, you have to learn the syntax, but you don't have to remember the syntax. So that is a difference. Like for now, if you ask like a computer grad, he has to learn Python, Java, C++, and all. So at the bottom level, if you say of any programming language, the things are always the same, like if else thing or a loops or any other kind of function call or creating objects and all. They are at the bottom level they are same, but only the syntax and that things matter. So yeah, don't really have to remember the syntax.
Okay. अच्छा, nowadays there's a saying like website तो क्या chat gpt से बना लेगा, तो what do you guys think about that?
बना लेगा. But like the thing is, don't think that ChatGPT will just take over web dev in its entirety. There will still be web dev required at really complex levels. AI is definitely progressing a lot, and like I am into AI, so yeah, so it's progressing a lot. Yet you can't depend totally upon AI. Not until this point, and I think it will take quite some time. If you get into web dev, if you plan to get to the top 10% or top 1%, because below that AI will definitely.
So there are like websites which are like using chat gpt, like they have integrated chat gpt to build websites. So one of them is framer ai. If you use framer ai, that basically creates a website. But what I've used and what I can say on that, it is shit. Like वो बहुत अच्छे websites नहीं बना पाता है. But yeah, with time, like when AI will evolve and it will create websites, but still like there are different things on a website. Agar if it is a static website also, like you have to use JavaScript to create animations, you have to handle the responsiveness of the website, and there are some factors which requires a manual touch in that. Like you will require a developer to make the website, not like a person from a non-IT or a non-tech background can't really just use OpenAI and create a full-fledged website and it will go live. So yeah, so AI can help you create the website, but not completely create a website, and that can be used.
Okay, so like, do you guys believe that a responsive website, so is it more likely to come up on these search engine optimizations? Like, is it more likely to come up on Google or any other website, a search engine? So what do you guys think about that?
Okay, so that mainly depends on how you have configured the search engine optimization. You can actually there's a file called, I'll not get into all of the technicals a lot, but there's just a file, robots.txt. By that you can choose to allow or deny the Google bots, the search engine bots that actually index your website.
Okay.
So yeah, that handles that. But yeah, responsiveness actually does play a role. If your website is more responsive, the bot is much more likely to give you a higher ranking on the search results.
Yes, the Google bots are really smart. They check the content of your website and also the structure it is there. So they do check sometimes what like is the website responsive or not, and by that and the text you have integrated in your website, because it is really important to create a website and add the text related to your content. So then by then only Google will be able to rank your page. So yeah, it is very important to create a responsive website. Also, a responsive website increases the user time on your web page. like if the website is not looking good, why will I use your website? Like if you see IRCTC and all, they don't really have a good
It seems fishy, like they will scam us or something.
yeah, but the case here is we have to use it. We don't like to use it, we have to use it. And if you similarly go on the websites which have integrated the services, the Indian services for trains, and they have a pretty good background, like it is easier to search trains and all. So yeah, responsive design is important. Yeah, the private companies who integrate it.
Talking about one of the most fundamental languages when it comes to web development, JavaScript, it has so many libraries or frameworks, like there's React, Angular, Vue.js, there's a lot. So, do you think that learning all of them is important, or how do we choose? And while coming to frameworks or libraries, what is the difference between a framework and a library?
Okay, so I'll take the first one. You take the second one. So about I'll take I'll answer the choosing part of it. फिर बाकी तू कर ले. ठीक है. Okay, so how do you choose a framework is basically on all of the frameworks, say Next.js, Vue.js, you can actually it's a Google search away comparison between both of them. What's the actual difference? So usually all the frameworks, they have certain strong points and some weak points. Every framework gets a little different. That's why they exist. So depending on your use case, you can use whatever you want. So like I use Next, so I'll give you the example of Next. So in Next.js, the main standout features are basically you have a router inbuilt. Say you are using React. It uses React at the backend itself, but what Next provides is that in React you need to download an additional package which you were talking about in React Router DOM, and so Next already provides that inbuilt. It has a file system router, it has serverless functions inbuilt, and a lot of things. So like this, all the frameworks have certain strong points. Looking at the strong points, you can decide which framework do you want to explore.
And you have also asked the question like, do you have to learn all the languages? So yeah, JavaScript is a, like at this point of time, JavaScript is a language this is most used. Like if I check in my classroom also, like in my class, most of the people are of Merge stack, which is Mongo, Express, React, and Node. So the plus point of learning JavaScript is like you can also work on front end as well as you will do the back end stuff also. And if you go on the Python part, then you have to also learn JavaScript at the front end and Python at the back end, because there are two different things. So and JavaScript, like when you go with Node.js, so Node.js has a asynchronous structure, like JavaScript comes with a asynchronous kind of feature, so it makes your website fast. And if you check the current trends, so there are a lot of jobs over Merge stacks. So and it is also really easy to find a internship in React. Like there are many front end roles. So at this point of time, if you ask, then yeah, like not learning multiple frameworks, but learning a language which satisfies your requirement in web development, which is you can do front end also and back end also, and also you will get internship in that. Then yeah, it is pretty good to learn JavaScript. Also about choosing the frameworks like React, Angular, and Vue.js. So React is a component based framework where you create different components and they are reused. And the community of React is also huge, and a lot of companies use React. And if you compare it with Angular, it is a similar kind of structure, but it is different. Like the syntax is different and the file structure is different. But Angular is more robust kind of language. So I'll more robust kind of framework. So I'll compare this with Node and Django. Like I'll compare React and Angular with Node and Django. So Django is also a backend framework. Node.js is also a backend framework. But in Node.js, it gives you the liberty to create your view functions as you want, the routes as you want, the models wherever you want. But in Django, it has a specific structure which you have to follow. Like there is an app and there are urls.py files and a structure. So that is more robust. if you see. So Angular is kind of that. It is more robust in terms of this. And yeah, as he said, like there are there are the own features which a particular framework has. So you have to choose one which your software requirements needs. And the other question is difference between library and framework. So library is nothing but like a small piece of code which is used for like solving some small issues, like or developing like I want to make a software and which uses OCR. So I will install a library which will help me do the OCR things, like all the stuff which you want to integrate in your website and you don't want to code from scratch. You can download a library for that, and OCR was an example. And coming up to framework, so framework is a completely like framework is a tool or a piece of code which you get when you install it, where there are like conventions used, like how are you building the website. Like in React you create components and there is a prop structure. And in like same like if you take example of backend like Django, so Django is a framework, like it is used building Python, and it has its own features. So the language is Python, but Django is created in such a way like it has its own set of rules and features in that. So that is a difference between a library and a framework.
I think I missed this, so I'll also answer on this. Just two lines. So if you just want to see the basics, what's a framework and what's a library? So library is basically, there's a lot of code, a lot of functions. You can do a lot of things with the library. A framework, it's built on top of that library. Basically, library gives you a lot of freedom. You can choose not everything, but a lot of things that you want according to your way. There's more control. In a framework, it's basically built on top of the library, so it makes your life easier. How? By easing some features or giving you like some features that would take basically more time. It can be done in the library as well, but it would take more time. And the framework, it will just automatically do for you. Like I talked about routing, right? So Next.js does that for you inbuilt, but you have to do it in React. So that's the difference between like.
Okay, so speaking of security, like if there's a like some sketchy scam website, like किचन में वो पॉइजन फूड बना के इधर कस्टमर को दे रहा है, तो ऐसे लाइक सिक्योरिटी वाइज को कैसे हैंडल करेंगे?
लाइक तू अपने एपीआईज का पूछ रहा है कि बाहर के एपीआईज का पूछ रहा है?
एक्सटर्नल.
So if you are talking about external APIs, so तू कोई भी API तो ऐसे integrate नहीं करता. Firstly, you research about that API. It has been integrated. Like there are some famous platforms like Rapid API. So what Rapid API does, you register on their platform, you get a API key which you use to request that API. So if you are talking about like उसने कुछ गलत कर दिया या डेटा ब्रीच कर दी, तो it is still in your hands what data are you sending to that API and what are you getting back to that API, and you are using that thing. Like nowadays we use OpenAI's ChatGPT APIs in our hackathon, but it doesn't really we don't really care about the security part of it, because we are just passing the text and we are using that text in whatever way we really want it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Or
so it's like we are handling our own data. Like we choose what we give to them.
yeah, like so there are like, see, there are different APIs. If you go deeper into it, like you talk about Amazon S3 and all, S3 also has its own APIs. If you want to create things on that their website, you want to, like, you don't really have your own server at your home now. Like most of these days you use AWS servers to host your website, to host your data. Then there are other features used, like AWS has a SNS, simple notification service, then SES, a simple email service. So that time your front end or your back end is going to communicate with their thing. And definitely a token and all which is provided. So still it is on you, like what kind of data are you sending to that API. If the data is about your customer, and you are giving it to some third party service, then it is a problem to you, like you are leaking that data. So handling the data is really important. Like when you will go ahead with the backend stuff, you will get to know like what are the things which you don't have to share with the third party services which you use.
Talking about internships, like both of you guys have done quite a few internships. So could you share us about the experience about your first internship? Like were you guys nervous? Like what work did you make you do about that?
So my internship, like I wouldn't call it an internship in the truest sense. It was more of a freelance experience. So what I did is, it was basically I was the only one there. That's why I say freelance experience. I had to create a website from scratch for an insurance company. So it was their online front basically. So to get clients and stuff, they wanted a landing page. So you could just talk about it as a freelance opportunity. But yeah, I think Om can elaborate on the interview experience part. Like,
कौन सा इंश्योरेंस कंपनी इंश्योरेंस का yeah, okay. So talking about internship ka first day. So when I applied for internship, like interview and all हुआ and the day of joining was there, so I was very nervous. So मैं ऐसा पूरा formals and all पहन के गया था and मतलब ऐसे बहुत घर से ऐसे prepare करके गया था. मम्मी ने भी बहुत prepare किया था कि अच्छे से काम करना, सबसे अच्छे से रहना, and like talk good with people, do your work, don't waste your time, because it was a offline internship, not a remote internship. Like I have done offline internships as well and remote internships as well. So it was an offline internship. And first day ka experience is like I'm calling everyone sir, sir and all. And yeah, the thing is like I was just 17 years old at that time when I grabbed my first internship. So it was a bit nervous kind of thing, but in tech actually you don't have to call everyone sir. Like when you will go to do an internship, it is very very casual and people are there to help you. So at that time I was not really into web development and all. As I said, like मैं cyber security domain से I got to learn Django and then I landed an internship. So in internship you make mistakes. You are to make mistakes. Like तभी you will learn, right? When you are doing a full time job, there you are not go like there like there people will expect you to complete the work 100%, but in internships you will like they will know like तू intern है, तू गलती कर रहा है, and from those mistakes you learn actually. So my suggestion is कि internships definitely करो, जितनी भी internships हो सकती है you try to do it. And college के साथ manage करना थोड़ा difficult होता है, but yeah, like you should do internships.
So, as the last round of questions, we have a challenge for you. You have to be as quick as possible and answer it in precise one-liners or little bit.
Okay. So favorite programming language?
Python for me, Node.js. Talking about why Node.js would take an entire different podcast.
Yeah, Python as well for me. Like I'm a backend developer working with Django. So
All right. Most inspiring website or web app?
it is a website, a portfolio of a developer. The name is Bruno Simon. Yeah, we'll link it. It is a car, basically a fun website to play.
So mine is also a portfolio of he's the product manager, like product head at Vercel. His name is Lee Robinson. The website is leerob.io. So yeah.
Best piece of advice you guys have ever received?
So it is कि अगर वो चल रहा है तो don't touch it. The code is so don't change
This
it.
in our site.
Yeah.
Okay, so my piece of advice would be do what you actually want to do. Like first explore that what you want to do, then do it. Don't just be like web dev bhi, app dev bhi, तो कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे.
Yeah. So just adding it like jack of all and master of none.
Your best piece of work?
My own site, Abhigyan.tech.
So my work is related to backend only, but recently I have created a application, progressive web app for my committee, like for a hackathon, TSEC hacks, which is this month. So the participants will get the application. That.
Okay, so as a developer, if you had some superpower, what would you prefer? Like, what is the superpower you should have?
Isn't this like very easy? Whatever I think should automatically be coded. So kya?
Like for me in practical terms is if I'm getting a error then or a problem अरे मतलब हाँ वो भी है यार नहीं है यार आंसर ऐसी कुछ बट यही है कि आई शुड फाइंड अ सोल्यूशन वेरी क्विकली मतलब
तू बैक एंड कर ले, फ्रंट एंड अपने आप बन ले.
हाँ हाँ यार दिस कैन बी अ सुपर पावर थैंक यू अभिगान कि मैं बैक एंड बना लूँगा एंड फ्रंट एंड ऑटोमेटिकली गेट्स क्रिएटेड
All right, that's it for our questions. So, wow, that was a really insightful experience. Thank you so much for joining us. We got to learn a lot, and I'm sure our listeners did too. Darren?
Okay. So before we go, would you guys like to share your socials so like our viewers can check you out?
Okay, so for me, just check out my website. My socials are there itself, and my projects too. So it's abhigyan.tech. It is actually, inspired by Lee Robinson's website itself that I mentioned. But like I added my personal touches to it. It's actually over-engineered too. So yeah, just check it out.
So you can find me on LinkedIn, Om Avhad. You can just search it. I'll be there, and you can send me connection request. Maybe if you have some queries, I'll definitely help you.
All right. Okay. So, this was in a nutshell season 2.
Brought to you by IETE TSEC. Please make sure to hit the like, share, and subscribe button.